All right. When the can cracks, the boys get down to business. All right, we got the Extra Mile episode 3 coming to you live on LinkedIn and YouTube. And we are going to delve into the wonderful world of strength training. So, for all three of us, we've all certainly have our backgrounds with strength training, with the theories of muscle development and how important it is to really longevity as well as to sport performance, athletic performance, and all of that. So I want to get this thing rolling with Jerry, because I know, Jerry, you got the competition this weekend. I'm not really too familiar with High Rocks. I feel like it's a fairly new-ish sort of thing, but that could just be my ignorance. How is the training been, and what does the training look like for High Rocks?
Yeah, so I think it's been around for like a number of years, maybe 5, 6 years, something like that. But it's newer to me too, because Canada's only had one last year. So what it is essentially it's hybrid fitness, where they kind of take, the way I look at it is you take CrossFit, which is kind of a popular form of hybrid fitness, but there's a bit of a barrier there where I do believe the best and most overall well-rounded fitness trained people are the elite CrossFitters, in that if you were to take one of them and you put them in High Rocks, they will do better at the Worlds than if a world champion High Rocks are at the CrossFit Games. But that's because of the skill and technique aspect to CrossFit that takes many, many years to develop, which is high skill gymnastics, walking on your hands, walking on parallettes, doing freestand handstand push-ups, bar muscle ups, ring muscle ups, all these different things that then you take the other side of the spectrum, heavy overhead squats, snatches, clean and jerks. These things that some people don't want to spend that much time doing. It's not like improving your snatch really improves like your longevity or your health really in the end, compared to if you were to take that same hour in a week and dedicate it to running 10K. That's going to be more fitness bang for your buck, but it's not going to make you necessarily a better CrossFitter if that's not your weakness. So there's just a bit of a barrier to entry in the CrossFit. Those are the kind of things that can cause injuries. There's all those things. And High Rocks took it of like, let's make a 1 to 2 hour event that is, instead of unknown and unknowable like CrossFit is, it's very known and repeatable. So it's easier to train for. It's more people will sign up for it because they know how they're going to do, or there's not this element of mystery like there is in CrossFit of what the events are going to be. And it's 1K of running 8 times. And then after every kilometer is a station, and the stations are always the same. It's a 1K ski followed by a 50-meter sled push, and the sleds in like the pro division and everything are very heavy. So that's always kind of known as like, okay, the best High Rockers are extremely good runners, but a pure runner will get crushed by the sled. And it's the second event, and good luck now running at those same paces. That's kind of the whole game of High Rocks. And then a sled pull that's heavy. Then it's burpee broad jumps, so a body weight movement that spikes your heart rate again. Then it's a 1K row, so back on a machine, spike your heart rate. Then it's a farmer carry, which is kind of this trap that you don't actually get a rest, especially in the doubles and stuff. You're basically still kind of running for that station. Then there is basically it ends with just bagging your legs, which are already gassed from the sled push and pull. And it's a lunge with 70 pounds on your back for 100 meters. And then it's 100 wall balls to finish. So wall ball is 20-pound medicine balls, full squat to a 10-foot target. Basically, you do a full squat, and then you hit like the basketball hoop is the height of it. So that's the event, and so it's a kind of a weird thing. Like, if you pace well and you've done a simulation, you kind of know around where you're going to finish. But there's different elements of, like, it's a long enough event and a hard enough event that things can happen and things you can surprise yourself, good and bad. But as a CrossFitter, the typical thing is you're strong enough, but you don't run enough. And if you're a good CrossFitter, you're usually short, which doesn't help you in high rocks. So I used it as this thing to avoid using my shoulder because there's no clean and jerks and snatches. Because right now my labrum's torn. So avoid using my shoulder, which is why I've been focusing on this. And it's a fun thing because it's kind of most of my weaknesses in CrossFit, which are like machines and these wall balls and things that taller athletes usually excel at. And then if you're coming from like a running background and starting to weight train or want to do that, it's a great entry into that because you have no choice but to develop some pretty darn strong legs if you're going to get through a pro event's weight in the sled push and the lunges and the pull. So it's a good balance. It's not like an even test of overall around. Like, there is, the best are usually over 6'2", light. If I beat them by a minute on the sled push, they'll beat me by a minute on every kilometer, and there's 8 of those. So it's that's kind of, it's still weighted towards an endurance sport for sure. But there are these fun stations that get to shake things up or surprise people.
Do you think that, and I know you mentioned that with CrossFit kind of having, I don't know if there's more like appeal, or is that because that CrossFit's been around longer? And do you foresee High Rocks kind of coming in with a new influx of people that, like you say, that like this is known, it's repeatable, people know what to expect? Do you think that as time goes on that more people are going to go the High Rocks route versus CrossFit?
I do. I think there's, like, if you've been in the CrossFit space for a while, there's always this kind of discouraging of taller athletes kind of get this, like, get shafted through, like, if a tall athlete would be like Fikowski at the games, and he looks like he's 6'7" on the field, but he's like 6'1", maybe 6'2". So there is this definitely a sense of taller athletes will gravitate towards High Rocks for sure. But also just in general, it's kind of like the same crowd of a half marathon versus marathon, of the people who want to challenge themselves with, like, it's kind of an intimidating event, but it's still only like a sub 2-hour thing, which is kind of like that half marathon. And it's just, I think there's just a lower barrier to entry because you know what to expect every year. You have clear and concise ways of determining whether you've improved because it's consistent. Whereas CrossFit's so vast, you could spend months and months trying to improve your back squat because that's a big gap in your game. And during that time, you've just reduced your capacity to run. And now the running event shows up in the back squat, which you got screwed on last year, doesn't even show up for 2 more years. It's just like, it can be frustrating that way.
Mm-hmm.
Also, there is just a big brand around it. It's kind of like the running group brand. There's that kind of vibe of, like, social media, BPN. Yeah, I'm sure Ryan's very familiar, like the Go One More running group style people. That's like, there's other event of the year would be a High Rocks over a CrossFit competition. And yeah, I think that just comes down to that not everyone wants to spend months and months trying to improve their shoulder mobility to try and do a proper snatch. Whereas you can get fit while training for high rocks, even if you're not, you know what I mean? Like you're pushing a heavy sled, it's pretty simple. You're pushing a heavy sled, you're getting stronger. But to improve your snatch might take 10,000 hours of technique work that people like. That's not what people want. So yeah, I also think it's like I love how long an event it is, where I still have to work on my strength and stuff, but also if you skimp on hour plus zone 2 sessions and running 10 plus K multiple times a week, or doing, your interval sessions of 10 by 1K at a certain pace, like those are the hard ones and those make you fitter. And those are the ones like you integrate into your training a lot more when you have a high rocks coming up than if you were to have a CrossFit comp. But yeah, so I think there's just a lower barrier to entry overall. But yeah, they need to figure out, they're doing well with like half rocks events where you do like a 30-minute to 45-minute event and it's half of it. It's a good training thing to work up to a full one. Lots of people like doing that. But they're just like, so in Toronto this weekend, there's going to be 15,000 people doing it in 3 days. And to keep it an event where it's like they're kind of making the same mistakes as CrossFit, where they need it to be accessible so they make money, so 15,000 people show up, but they're trying to have it as like this professional sport that there are elites and there are an elite league of the top 15 and all that. But those are some hiccups where they need to figure that out, because there are people going Friday, I'm going Saturday, and then there's people going Sunday that I will know the Friday scores to beat, and Sunday will know all the other scores to beat. And so they can pace it off of that and things like that. And when you go to different events, there's different layouts because there's different venues. So the kilometers aren't always identical. The sleds are known to be different, wear and tear on the sleds and waxing of the sleds. And so you can clearly see a lot of the time there'll be one person beside you pushing and it's not even moving, and you pushing and it's gliding. And like, okay, there's a difference in this resistance these two people are feeling. It's clear it's not strength differences. And that's another big problem they need to figure out. But it's a young sport. It's still growing. I don't think they expect it to be so big so fast, because they sell out tickets. When tickets go live, they sell out in about 5 seconds. So you're in line in a queue of 10,000 people trying to get 2 tickets.
What's your goal time for it?
My goal is I would love to be sub an hour. Sub an hour is kind of like when you're an individual, going sub an hour means you're elite. I'm in a team with my buddy who owns the CrossFit gym that I go to. And if you're like the elite teams are lower 50 minutes, I'd like to be in that hour range. I think our running improved a lot since last time because we've been training for a half marathon and stuff like that. And last year, I always kind of forget, but I only trained for about 8 weeks because I had snapped my ankle and my shoulder. I think it was 16 weeks before the race. So I should be fitter for sure. I am fitter, but our goal is kind of close to an hour. I don't know if we can break an hour, but hopefully.
Is there any prize money?
I don't even know. I think there's some prize for like overall. Last year would have been our time to try and do that because it was the first one in Canada, so all the best of the best went individual. And then now, like the Canadian record Was just set last week in Boston, and then now he's competing against me in doubles this weekend. So like those guys are there, and a lot of them did Indy last year, so they're going to do doubles this year. So I think it'll be a lot harder competition, but we're also fitter, so it should be good. I think if we can be sub an hour, we'll probably be like a top 20, I would imagine.
Nice.
But I think for the top 3, you're going to have to be closer, like 53, 54 minutes.
Have you ever tried bicarb?
Yep. I tried it training for the half. I have a Morton bicarb here, like at my house. I was debating on it. I wanted to try it one more time for like a sim a week before.
Yeah.
I never did. So now I'm kind of a little bit nervous to toss that in there right before.
You don't want the bicarb cholera.
Yeah. So I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm planning on taking a couple gels, but yeah, I think just one gel at the row is what I'm going to, like halfway mark is what I'm going to do.
Yeah. It just
Last year I didn't touch any fuel, no water for the whole event. I finished, and my partner was, I think we finished. We were like third or fourth, and we did not expect to do that well. But we were dying, and he was like, "Man," I found out he stopped for water every time, but he was behind me grabbing water at the stations and Red Bull. And I was like, "Oh, I thought you would have killed me if I touched the water." Like, because in CrossFit, you never stop for water, you never take a drink, but the events are also not an hour long. But now after doing like a half marathon and training long, I'm like, I'm definitely stopping for water probably twice. You just grab it and go, but it's not as quick as a half marathon where you just like toss it anywhere.
Seems like a perfect event for bicarb, and then like a caffeinated gel maybe at 15 or 20 minutes. That'll really get you going. Jason, have you tried bicarb?
I have not. I was just anticipating you recommending like 3 or 4 glucose packets for Jerry to do throughout the hour, like that crazy carb loading. Do you think that would be effective, like a super high carb load for high rocks?
Yeah, like it's I'm tapering this week. Last week was pretty hard. Tapering this week and upping my carbs, like definitely just subconsciously upping my carbs a bit already. But Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I'll be pretty high, I think. Like if we typically tonight we have a bag salad with ground venison or chicken or something, like a dill pickle salad pre-made thing. That's like a typical dinner.
Mm.
Now it's with a cup of rice mixed in. It's like that's as simple as I'm doing it, but probably like more oats or pasta or something mixed in on Thursday and Friday. And then Saturday we have our favorite is because I feel like when you have a race, you like eat sugar because it's also guilt-free because you're doing it. We've got those rainbow ropes or whatever they're called. Oh, they're so good. What's that?
Like the nerd rope?
They're similar to the nerd, but I think they're called like sweets something. Rope sweet
thing?
It's an American thing that just came to Canada like this year. They're like rainbow colored and then filled with like almost like a sour sugar filling. But they're basically like licorice filled with stuff. Phenomenal. So my wife has a pack saved for that. And she's actually doing the pro women's individual for the first time. She did women's doubles last year, but could only get a ticket this year for the individual pro. So she's nervous, but it'll be fun to watch. I don't know if it'll be fun to do, but it'll be fun to watch.
Nice. Oh yeah. There's a lot of that's a lot of endurance. I'm curious, what does like your typical like a training session look like to prepare? I mean, obviously you got to do the events, you got to practice at least to some degree, but like what else would you say makes up the base of that? Like just your like typical like training day. What's your rep ranges? What's it, kind of the structure?
Yeah, so let's look. If you look at like a 16-week prep period, what I do is, let's say like 16 to 8 weeks out, basically, you're building I want to keep my running. I want to get fast. So one of my probably two of my sessions a week, I'm trying to get fast because fast runs is everything in high rocks. So you can't do it compromised. You can't try and do like wall balls, then run or squat. Like you have to be fresh track session style thing. At least twice a week where it'll be like maybe fast 400s and fast kilometer repeats. So my go-to is always 2K slow warm up, 10 by 1K at race pace, and slowly bringing that down every week. So I ended up at like 10 by 1K at like a 350 per kilometer pace, with a 60-second standing rest between. So not a ton of rest, trying to do that kind of on a repeatable, and then a 2K cool down. So you get 14K total volume. It's about an hour session. And it's kind of 10K is around what you want to train for, because the rock zone, which is the station, basically the space between where you finish your run and where you start your station, that adds up to 1.5 kilometers during a race. So you're not running 8K, you're running like 9.5. So basically like twice a week, you're doing a speed session. I'd say twice a week, you're doing like a long zone 2. People debate on whether that should be a run, both a run, one a bike, both a bike. I think more and more people lean towards a bike because it's easier on your legs and you're doing so much other legs than just running, that you need to kind of preserve your legs a bit. I just coming from CrossFit needed more running volume. So I usually just run that. I also find it hard to get my heart rate on a bike to zone 2 without blowing my legs up a bit. So I prefer to run because I'm less good at running. So the heart rate hits zone 2 quicker. So that's what I'll be doing. So I'll be doing separate running sessions, probably 4, maybe 5 times a week. There's a long session, there's a slow, and there's some speed sessions. And then on the weight training, you're trying to get like powerful and strong. Where I'm coming from is like my back squat's heavier than the world champion's back squat in high rock. So I'm not trying to get stronger than that. What I'm trying to do is hold as much strength as I can during a high running volume training block. Mm-hmm. And so what I was kind of always working up to was kind of higher reps to simulate that fatigue you get on a sled and stuff like that. But also, if I can just consistently squat 365 for a couple reps, then just rack it. That's it for the day. Don't get injured. Don't get too sore to ruin your running session the next day. Just try and maintain. Mm-hmm. A lot of machines. So similar to like the run, you might do like a 8 by 500 meter row with 60 seconds rest between, so that the machines are easier. And I probably do more upper body than a normal high rocks, like an elite one training for that, because you don't really want upper body. But I'm not trying to make money in high rocks, so I still want to keep some upper body strength and build strength. So I would do a couple sessions of upper body a week, and then a lot of like the stations, but isolated. So like as you get into that kind of, now you're at 10 weeks to 8 weeks, you're introducing a lot more of the stations and EMOMs and stuff. So maybe you're doing circuits of wall balls, lunges, and biking so that you're hyper focusing on your leg fatigue. Because high rocks is not lunge, wall ball, bike. There's no biking. It's lunge, run, wall ball. So your legs get a little bit of a rest. So to hyper focus that fatigue by like stacking them in an EMOM is what you would do to make it like harder. And then slowly, basically from the last 4 weeks is when you want to really focus on trying to match the speed you've built and put it into fatigued running. So fatigued interval sets of, 10 sets of a 1K run, but each set starts with 30 wall balls. And then you have a 60-second rest. So introducing those sort of things usually happen after you've built up some speed, you've built up a VO2 base, and you've built up power and strength. Now start introducing the sled pushes with some lunges and running, fatigued running, simulations, all that sort of stuff. And then so like for the last 3 weeks, probably every workout has essentially been either a zone 2 recovery session and sauna, or my last session was like a 8x400 meter run at a minute faster than race pace. So if I'm planning on racing like at a 6:30 mile pace, I'm going to run at try and hit like close to a 5:30 mile, but for 400 meters times 8 with 60 seconds rest between, straight into a circuit of like all the stations jam packed with no resting run between. And so that's kind of what I've been doing lately is fatigued running, simulations, that sort of stuff. And then this week is basically, zone 2s, trying to stay fresh, saunas and to supplement some volume. And so that's one hack I like that Ryan might do that too. But as I'm either dealing with an injury like Achilles tendonitis or something, if my volume's high, if a race is approaching and you just like can't afford to not get that session in, a good trick is like if you want to hit like a 90-minute zone 2 or a 60-minute, make that last 20 or 30 minutes of it in the sauna just sitting. So you elevate your heart rate to that zone 2 for an hour. Then I go sit in the sauna for 30 minutes. Your body basically did a 90-minute zone 2. And there's a lot of new research that's really cool of runners that supplemented with sauna improved their 5K by like 37% more than the ones who didn't. So that's kind of as the race approaches, I'm trying to supplement with that. And tomorrow will be like the last run through of like a simulation, but it'll be instead of kilometer runs, there'll be 400s, and they'll be kind of at race pace, basically just trying to stay sharp and shake out. And then Friday I'll probably be like a 5K jog, and that's it. I tend to taper more than some people do. I feel some people hate resting for 2 days before, and they feel sluggish the day of. I just historically have felt I'll like go full rest 2 days before. The day before I'll do something really light, maybe a 30-minute light bike and 30-minute sauna. And for some people that's not enough, but that's how I like to do it. I feel freshest that way.
What was your do you track like your weekly mileage and then weekly time that you've strength trained? And like, did you taper down with the mileage and just overall strength training too?
Yeah. So I would say like it kind of worked perfectly because in May was my half marathon. So I was kind of spent a lot of time building that base, which isn't necessarily like speed that I'm going to run this. Like that's slower than Like a High Rocks run pace is kind of like your 10K typically. So that was nice to build that base. Then I was just able to focus on getting a bit quicker, and my volume could drop down a bit. But I was hitting, so I was doing 14K on Mondays, probably like 10 on Tuesdays, 10 on Thursday.
So 866
4.
for
So
us
yeah,
Americans.
it was around 40 to 50K a week.
Nice.
And then for probably the last 4 weeks, it's been less. Bear hunting, I literally did nothing. I didn't move for 7 days, which was a week ago. So that wasn't it was kind of like, it was 3 weeks out from the race, which is kind of probably when you want to start peaking. But I did a pretty hard week before to knowing I was going to be fully off. Then took the full week off and then went hard again.
Do you get a bear, by the way?
Yeah, we got 2 bears.
2 bears. Nice.
Yeah, I was telling Jason before this, it'll probably end up being, because we're mixing in a doe from last year just to be all in the same sausage and ground and everything. So it'll probably end up being like 110 pounds of meat, I think.
Wow.
Which will be well worth the trip.
How long
If
is that?
I posted that moose that I saw at 2 yards.
Yeah.
That would have been 700 pounds of meat, but can't hunt them. So yeah, that wasn't probably the ideal scenario in terms of volume, but this week, like I'll be at probably 20K before the race.
Nice.
Right on, man. Sounds like a nice little variety of training. Hopefully you kick the shit out of everybody at High Rocks this weekend, and you snatch that 60-minute that goal time, man.
Well, so I just got a text. This is funny. I got a text from a guy right now, and it's a screenshot of the High Rocks starting list. And there's an error for some reason. It says we are age group 75 to 79.
Oh, you're
And
gonna win.
He said, "Wow, I think you guys have a shot."
You got it, Jerry. And if you don't, I want to see what these guys are up to, because that's wild.
Yeah, that shouldn't be the case.
That's hilarious.
It's impressive there's people that old doing it, honestly.
I know. It's
pretty cool. There's like there's people of all like different disabilities, abilities. Like there was a chemo patient that that finished the last time, I think, that we were there in like 4.5 hours. Like we were just he was going while we went, and then when we finished, we were still watching him go. Like it's some pretty cool stuff.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I think like if you ever did one, I think you'd get addicted real quick.
What, High Rocks? Well,
yeah.
I'll let it marinate a little bit in the fridge. I got to think of something if I'm on the retirement tour from all the shit that I do. So I have to keep a lookout for something to keep me engaged.
I think you'd love it.
I'll keep it in mind. You did a great job of selling it, though. I gotta say, like, shaping it, like the run club situation with how many people are there, the buzz. I'm buzzed about it. Is there a way for us to check it out? Is there going to be like a stream, or is there going to be anything that we could check out to track you?
I don't have any idea if there is. I know there's not like there's timer chips and stuff, but it's not like Ryan's where like you can follow. And I do not think it's streamed because they're kind of like over their head in how big it's getting. But yeah, it's I'll probably post on Instagram or LinkedIn pretty quick, but it is kind of like overwhelmingly hectic if you've never been and you go. Like I mean, it's a venue for maybe comfortable 500 to 1,000 people, and there's like 9,000 people in there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Does it smell like just like a wrestling gym or something?
It's in a huge convention center in Toronto. But it's just like, it's basically the entire, because the loop is 500 meters. It's basically 2 loops. So it's a 500-meter loop around the perimeter. And then there's a couple like grandstand style bleachers in the middle for people to see all the stations. But you have to go through the running track to get to the spectator area and the warm-up area and the vendors and everything. So it's basically like people are running by, and then as soon as there's a break, people like sprint. And then if you're like an athlete running, people are like, you're trying not to run into people, and there's like a traffic jam, and there's like security guards yelling. It's like they almost need like those animal living bridges like they have over highways where deer can cross on the highway.
Mhm.
They need some of those for people, because it's crazy.
Sounds like absolute madness in the best way possible, man.
Yeah.
We'll be rooting for you, man. We'll be cheering you on. We'll be sending all the good vibes your way. Hopefully you crush it. I know you crush it. It's just a matter of how well. But right on, man. I love it. I love hearing about something that I don't really know a whole lot about, and you really painted a good picture. So love it. Good shit. So, Ryan, what are you doing with your strength training world? I know obviously with the running and ultras, you're coming off of a crazy time yourself that you were telling us before we hopped on. So, how's everything been going with that? I mean, coming off the race, how'd you train for that? I mean, how did everything come together? How do you piece it together?
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's a lot there, I think. So the race I just did was 100K, ended up being like 65, 66 miles in the mountains. So that it was 11 to 12,000 feet of elevation gain. So super hilly. I ran probably between like 50 and 70 miles a week for, I don't know what it was, like 10 weeks or so. I basically ran 5 or 6 times a week. Did 1 or 2 long runs a week. And a lot of times, especially if I was doing 6 runs a week, I would do like basically 10 miles a day, just every day, and then like a really long run on Saturday. The longest run I did was 30 miles in the mountains, and that took like 8 hours. It's just like chill pace for the most part. I did a post recently on fatigue resistance.
Mm-hmm.
So I did try to, at the end of that, like start going pretty fast, especially on the downhills. And kind of like what Jerry was talking about, rhabdo is a pretty big concern in ultras. And one of the ways that you can avoid that is doing a bunch of intense, fast downhill sessions leading up to the race. Forget what the theory or whatever is called, but you do it once and you're going to be like, you do fast downhill once, you're going to be incredibly sore for a week. And I did that before this 30-mile run. I could barely walk a week. I did this, and I was sore for maybe 5 days or something. And then like 10 days before the race, I did another super mountainous run that was like 15 miles in the mountains, and 4 miles were like straight down. And I just went like almost as fast as I could, like 6:30 pace, in a controlled fashion at least. But so I feel like I did a good job with the downhill stimulus. I was trying to get a good amount of elevation gain per week. I was doing a lot of, I have a treadmill, so I was doing a lot of like uphill treadmill workouts. like putting the treadmill up to 10 or 15%, doing threshold intervals, doing just like hour 2 hour long zone 2 at 8 to 15%, throwing in some speed work, but most of it was just easy running, zone 1, zone 2, with a lot of times strides at the end of that. So like, for example, like 6 by 30-second hill strides. And basically that's essentially just, you find a hill and you run fast up it gradually. You don't want to just like break out and do a sprint, but you just run at a fast pace. And that's good training, because it's, especially if you do uphill, it's not as taxing on your body. And it gives your body the feeling of running at a fast pace, but in like very short increments. So yeah, that's kind of a overview of the running aspect. And then strength training, I mean, I really haven't nailed the perfect strength training program to go along with ultra training. I've done kind of everything. I mean, when I first started, I was still doing a lot of lifting, like as I was getting into running. So I was doing 5 strength training sessions a week, and it was the typical back by, chest try, legs, whatever. But as I've started running more, I really lift so that I can run more, like run healthy and run better.
Yep.
And so I'm not as concerned with, especially like upper body stuff. I really stopped doing in the last 6 months, like any weighted upper body stuff. Like I'll do push-ups and pull-ups, and that's about it. And somehow I still can't like get rid of the muscle, my upper body muscle. It's kind of annoying because I don't need like biceps, and I don't need like a big chest and all this stuff, because it's just kind of extra weight I'm carrying around. But at the same time, like I think like anyone, like you like the aesthetic look, obviously, and like I like having some muscle, but I just don't need a ton of it. But I have started doing David Roche's, it's called Mountain Legs. It's just this like super quick workout that you want to do immediately after a run to help fatigue resistance. And literally all it is single leg step ups and reverse lunges.
Okay.
And so you do like 2 or 3 sets of 20 each leg, like immediately after run. So your legs are already a little fatigued. And then you basically just want to start feeling the burning sensation. So I've been incorporating that more recently. Like I'm going to try to do it after almost every run. Because it's not like you don't really get sore other than maybe like the first time or a couple times. And then I'm putting a bigger emphasis on just overall strength for my back and legs as well. Like I meant to do it today, I just didn't have time, but like I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow and do heavy back squats for me, which is like 95 pounds. So I'm going to try to start doing more of that, and just like, I don't know, in the past I've hit all the leg machines, and I had a good routine with that, like leg press, leg extension, the hip ones. But I feel like
it comes from like a place of, I feel like to an extent the movement now is strength training for injury prevention.
Yeah.
Ultras, like to improve your bone density, just create an overall more stable joint, all that.
That's definitely the main reason. But having said that, I feel like I was a little bit weak going into grindstone. Like the thing that I noticed started going out first were my hamstrings. And that's probably because I haven't really squat heavy in a long time. And I know my glutes could definitely be stronger. And like basically every time I get a little knee injury, not injury, but like, you know, when you start feeling some sort of little pain that could go away. But as soon as I start doing some more exercises for my glutes, it goes away in like 2 weeks. So like I feel like every injury I've ever really had has been tied to weak glutes. So there's something to keep in mind. Like if you are, I mean, you guys don't have to worry about this, but if you're running a lot and not doing any strength training, I feel like focus on your glutes. Like even I do a lot of single leg glute raises, and that's actually a good indicator for me to let me know if I'm really weak. I'll try doing the single leg glute raise, and if my whole body starts shaking, I'm like, okay, I've lost all my muscle, and I need to start doing this more.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a rower at home?
I don't.
Is there one at the gym?
Yeah.
So if you ever do like hamstring curls similar to that, but if you're laying down at the back of a rower and then your heels are on the seat, and so as you pull it together, it's sliding on the thing, and then you're like lifting up.
Oh, I see.
It's a killer hamstring and glute exercise.
Okay.
Start with 2 legs and then eventually move to 1. It's brutal. But yeah, and it doesn't even matter how strong you are. Most of those injuries come from like an imbalance of the strength of the thing at the front of the joint versus the thing at the back. And I feel like runners and other people, cyclists, whatever you're doing, your quads tend to be more dominant unless you're doing things to really supplement the back part of that, which is your hammies and glutes.
Mm-hmm.
And most people don't deadlift heavy because they don't want to get injured. And that's like, once you stop doing that and you get older and you're still doing, and one of the easiest leg exercises in the world is a leg extension, just purely targeting the patellar tendon and the quadricep. Running up a hill, pretty much targeting like the stairs, targeting the quad. So a lot of that, yeah, you got to focus. If you have 20 minutes, focus on the other half of that joint to reduce that injury for sure.
Oh yeah,
I agree with you. Yeah, there, and then I think the other thing that's important is core. I'm trying to do that a couple times a week too. But and also something new, and then I'll take Dax's question. So I'm doing a 16 to 20 week plan that Swap put out, which is David and Megan Roche podcast, leading up to New Black Canyon 100K in February. And they have this new plan that basically it's like the same plan that they give to their elite athletes that are winning these big ultras and marathons and stuff. So I'm excited for that. But part of it is cross training. So every Thursday, it's a bike workout. So I'm going to do it tomorrow. And I'm excited to see how that goes because I feel like most people in ultras, at least the traditional way, think that mileage matters most. So like the more miles you can run, if you run every day, like over 100 miles, like that's how you win these races. But the swap team has kind of proven that wrong. Like both David and Megan bike once or twice a week, and their mileage doesn't. I mean, Megan just won a 50 miler after coming off pregnancy. Like she's only like 8 months postpartum, and then I think her mileage, she only got up to like 40 to 50 miles a week, but was like crushing the bike, and she absolutely demolished this race. So I'm excited to see how the bike impacts my running. But for Dax's question, for a 50 miler, I would say like a marathon. That's what I've done in the past. I think, I mean, if your body can handle it, maybe go up to 50K, but I definitely think past like 50K, I think your injury risk is just going to go up a lot without like a lot of benefit, and maybe even past a marathon. I mean, people training for a marathon, they say past 20 miles, their injury risk goes up. So like, I can't imagine what the injury risk is past a marathon training run, but if you can handle it, I would say marathon to 50K.
I am just news for you. I am signing up because I was supposed to do my first 50K trail race the same day AUKUS is this year in October. So now I have to go to AUKUS, but signed up for it's a nighttime trail race 50K called like the Crazy Raccoon or something. But it's like 15, 20 minutes from my house around this cool lake trail. I think it's a 25K loop twice, and it starts like 8 p.m. So that'll be fun. That's my first official ultra.
Nice.
Yeah, I think that's like May next year, May 2nd or something. So it won't be too hot either, which is nice.
Yeah. That's night ultras are tough because you got to think about what are you going to eat all day leading up to it, and then
a lot of licorice with rainbow colored filling, probably.
Yeah,
that's my favorite aspect of an ultra. And the prospect of it is to eat whatever the hell I want.
100%.
Yeah, that'll be good. So that'll give me a little bit of. That was going to be the hardest thing training for the high rocks going into the ultra, was having my volume higher than I would want for high rocks, because I was going to have to do so many long run stuff, and maintaining size. Like I probably lost in this training block for high rocks like 6 pounds.
Wow.
So if I was training for the ultra, I'm sure I would have lost more like 10. So that would have not been ideal, but yeah.
You must eat clean or something, because I don't have that issue somehow. Like I cannot, not that I necessarily want to, but I don't really, for the most part, I don't really lose weight even when I'm running like 80 miles in a week. I feel like I just eat so much.
I feel like the running, from what I've kind of noticed, is people are like taking it seriously. Like you're fueling for the runs and during.
Yeah.
And you're fueling for performance. Whereas like, it's not like I'm fueling for a 14K interval piece. Like I'm not fueling during, and I don't really, maybe I'll eat something like a piece of fruit or something before. And then when you're like weightlifting, you're not really fueling for that other than like protein shake after. I don't know. I feel like if it was dialed, I wouldn't have been losing as much weight, but yeah, I don't know. It's tricky.
Yeah. No, I think it's a good point about fueling, especially during. I mean, some of these runs I'm practicing with high carb fueling. So if it's 2 hours, I'm taking like 5 gels, and that's, I don't know, 800 calories or something.
Right.
And I might only be burning like 1,200 or something. So
yeah,
that's probably it. Yeah. But what about you, Jason? What you got going on?
A little bit of everything, man. I mean, currently I'm in the running off season, so I'm focusing more on the strength training. I'm trying to, it's the race to 500 for year 20 for me on the deadlift. So I started deadlifting 500. I first pulled it in 2006, and I've done it at least once every calendar year since then. So, with it being the 20th year, I'm kind of feeling like this might be it, because it's tough to maintain that level. It really is. I mean, I feel good overall, but it's tough, especially when you get more into running shape. You're going to be lighter. You're just not going to have as much muscle mass as you usually have, and your strength is going to go down. So it is going to probably be the toughest buildup for me these next couple of months. But I'm pretty determined because it also means that it would be the first year that I will have done a sub 6 mile and a 500 deadlift in the same year. That I have not done. So, because the last time I had run a sub 6 was in 2003, prior to doing it this year, and my first 500 pull was in 2006. So this would be, I mean, it is extra motivation for me to be like, let's get after this and let's pull this shit and like, let's make it 20 straight years, because I think I can hang my hat on that. I'll be 40 when I do it. I turn 40 next month, which is wild to think about, that I'm entering year 40. How I got here, I don't really know, but it's kind of a slight miracle in some ways. But I'm definitely going to celebrate it, and celebrating it accordingly by just keeping my strength up. I mean, I know you guys are a little bit younger than I am, but I'll give you a little hint into the future. If you think it's bad now with dudes in their 30s, it gets even worse when you get closer to 40. The interest drops off, and I think what's good, and kind of touching back, circle back, and I'll get back to the lifting stuff in a second, but I think that things like high rocks are giving people who fell off, might have fallen off for a bit or whatever, as like a nice, low barrier to entry way to get back into shape. And I think that's awesome. And I think that the more of that we have, the healthier of a society that we'll have too. And I can go on an absolute tangent about that, but really, I don't even know where I was really going with all of that. But other than I just, want to keep my strength up and doing it the best that I can, and knowing that it really does drop off. Like I would say the great divide really starts at 30. Like you get to 30 and it's like, you either go life or you're going to keep up with it. That's really kind of what it boils down to. And a lot of people go with life happens. And I didn't. I refused to. And I remember I was living in Chicago when I was about 30 at that breaking point. And I remember, and I would be in there and I was still training heavy, and I was like putting a huge emphasis on it, because there was, for me, my lifting was tied a lot to my why, which was I'm not going to get jumped again and I'm not going to feel weak. So I prided myself on being as strong as humanly possible for as long as I could. And I just remember at that point, like being about 30 and doing my usual and not having really anybody to really talk about it with. Like, it was like a lot of my friends had like gone by the wayside. Like a lot of the guys I used to compete in powerlifting had kind of fallen off, which happens. I mean, time and, interests change. That's life. But I did notice a big drop off around 30. And now that I'm closer to 40, like it's wild. And I think the thing for me when I see like the strength training and the importance of it, because I work with seniors and I work with, during the day, I work with seniors. So I see the people that have kept up being active, and I see the people that sure as shit haven't. And there's a noticeable difference. And the quality of life, the functional independence, the risk for falls, all of that stuff is tied to muscle strength. It is, your ability to remain upright and to stay stable is largely due to strength. And knowing that, it has changed my perspective. It has gone from we need to be as strong as humanly possible, which is always fun, to I want to be strong forever. Like I want to maintain a level of strength so I can, like, I got my buddy who's 6, my girl's boy Hunter, who's, basically kind of like my stepson in a way. I love the kid to death. So I want to be able to, play and to maintain that activity with him, even as he gets older into his teen years. That's certainly certainly a reason to stay strong. But also to really kind of, for me, I've always admired strength. When I went to my first meet in 2004, I walked in that room and I didn't compete. I just went to watch. And I remember going in and being like, these are some of the largest people I've ever seen. Like, ever. Like, shoulders as big as my head. Like, I'm talking 1,000-pound squats. I'm, 900 deads, shirted bench. That's a whole other topic of equipment. But, guys taking 800 for a ride. It's like, what am I doing here? But I just felt I was enamored with it at the time because I was like, they're doing things that, holy shit, you can't even like, you think about it and it's like, it blows your mind because you guys know how heavy things feel. Like, loaded barbell feels heavy. And then you're like, this guy is doing like 2 to 3 times more than my max on this lift. And it's just, when you frame it like that, and it's like you see what the potential is, and it's like, my God, you're almost have to be like admire in a way. It's like, wow, like we are capable of so much, and that is what I try to drive home is, by maintaining and pursuing your strength, you can do a shitload. Like, Ryan, when you touch on like with the running and the downhill as fast as possible, it's like, dude, you keep your strength up, you're gonna dominate these friggin' ultras, man. You're gonna make sure that like you're bulletproof and like your knees are good, ankles, all of that, man. Like, I'm confident that like you'll just continue to wreck it, man. I mean, you're well on your way. So, but I have just seen over the years, over and over again, just the benefits of strength training, what it's done for me, what it's done for people that I work with, both in physical therapy and in the fitness world, with clients. And it's awesome. I love, the feeling of achievement. It's great to hit those milestones. It's great to have that feeling like there, I can't remember where the quote came from, but something like, there's some people that go through their day not knowing what a pump feels like, and I feel bad for them. And I kind of do, because it's a great feeling. And not only in the sense of physically, but also mentally. Like, okay, I didn't want to roll out of bed this morning and go to lug my ass to the gym and, rep through a bunch of stuff, but I did it. And now I come out of the gym. I'm like, I look at the time. I'm like, it's 6:45 in the morning and I am already here. I'm already done. And I'm like, day's moving. And I love it. And I think it sets a great tone. So, yeah, I mean, what am I doing right now? Long-winded answer. I'm building towards that 500 for year 20, trying to bulletproof my own running. Thankfully, knock on wood, I got through my peak running season this year, pretty strong. Felt good. And I'm looking forward to another successful season next year, doubling down on it, because I feel like that this, for me, is the future. And that I'll always love everything to do with like the powerlifting world. I always will, but I think it's time to, move forward and to kind of look into something, something else.
Nice.
So yeah, I know, Jerry, you're trying to sell me on High Rocks, man. I was listening to you go through, and then you do the sled push, and then the wall ball, and then you do this other thing, and I'm like, damn, dude, I would be winded halfway through doing that shit. Like, I'm just picturing myself. I think I would like to try it. Don't get me wrong. I would just die. Like, I think I would just die. And I'm in good cardio shape. I just feel like it's a different animal than I'm used to, and I think it would take some time to adjust, but never say never, right? Never say never when it comes to really life.
Yeah, it's cardio, and it's just your legs need to be able to take absolute damage. That's the gist of it. And my last note too on Ryan is like the old school. I'm sure you kind of, before you started ultras and stuff, it was always like, and maybe when you were still doing it, some people probably still have the misconception, but elite athletes, endurance sports, it was like muscle just gets in the way. Mm-hmm. Those people aren't on steroids. They don't want to get bulky like that. Those NHL players, they never go on steroids because it's not helping them. reality is muscle is never a bad thing. Strength
Mhm.
is never like one calculation. I'm sure Jason's done a bunch is you take your 1 rep max back squat and you can determine essentially within a pretty darn good tight tolerance, if you're an elite lifter, what your 20 rep would be. Any more than that, you probably have some genetic or mental capacity to push beyond whatever the normal person can. And less than that, maybe you have a less than like maybe it's a technique thing that goes if your core's fatigued and you're breathing heavy and then your core drops and you can't squat. But in general, leg strength, like any muscle strength, you can calculate based on a 1 rep. What can you do for 20? What can you do for 10? So when you're looking at an ultra runner's 1 rep, that directly correlates to all that elevation gain. Every stride is a quarter squat. Every stride is a walking lunge in some of those, steep hills. And if that's further from your max capacity than closer, it's easier. It's just like if you can squat 250 pounds, then moving your frame up a meter or up 10,000 feet across a race is just flat out easier. Now, the caveat, like with that distance and everything and speed being a factor, weight is obviously really important too. And I think the elites, especially, like you're trying to get lighter. You can't be heavy for a big race. You have to be light. And I think that's probably a topic for another day, but like the idea of getting strong while staying light, there's some techniques there and stuff. It's not like you can't avoid getting bulky if you're getting super strong, but there are some like maybe lower reps and different style of squats that limit hypertrophy, that are like less good for hypertrophy, but almost just as good for building strength and neuromuscular connection and technique. That maybe that's better for a marathon or ultra marathon trail runner because they're going to get their neural and power adaptation with less of a hypertrophy adaptation. So maybe you're not trying to hit that 15 to 20 rep scheme, get a big pump, fill it with blood, that kind of bodybuilding style rep scheme. That's probably a whole hour topic we could get into eventually.
I mean, that's yeah. I mean, I agree with that, and I think it would be good in terms of like on the endurance side to train the opposite, to train for more of not necessarily maximal strength, but how you were alluding to lower reps, like your triples. Even if you wanted to go up to like 5, even that starts to get into more of like kind of like the hypertrophy zone, the lower end of it, but still, that's a good power set right there. That I love 3 to 5s. I love messing with 3 to 5s. Huge fan.
Me
So, and I think that by being able to have that control, to have a solid like 3 rep, like Jerry was saying, you're being able to push up that hill that much more effectively than you would if you didn't. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of those lower rep ranges. I'll always be able to vouch for those. So Jerry, right on to that. And you're right, it really could be an hour on just rep ranges because I think well, yes and no, because I think any good program is going to have a mix. Like I think you should have a mix of lower reps, building up to your, 3 rep, or if you are going for a 1 rep or you want to peak that, through a 12 to 16 week cycle, all the way up to those 20 rep sets 20 rep squat sets suck. They suck, dude. I can't even remember. I think I did a wrapped 20 rep set with like 300 or 315 and I wanted to die. Yeah. Like I had the knee wraps, so it gave me a little bit of a rebound, but it still sucked. Like it was horrible.
315 was a max 20 rep I hit, and it was the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
Because you feel like you're almost at capacity at around like 8 reps, because that's usually kind of, all right, 8 reps at 315. All right, I'm going to stop there. Maybe I'll go to 6 at 345 or whatever. But no, you got to go 12 more reps. It's brutal. The one thing I do throw into my training mostly, because I do tend to train at like a 5x5 is like my typical that I'll always go back to. Might work up to like a 5x5 at 315 just to like maintain, not trying to gain anything. But I will often take 225 for a max set. So it's light enough that I don't feel like I'm going to get injured if my core fatigues. It's kind of like, it's probably like a 60% of my max, but it's heavy enough that 30 reps is going to really, really suck. And it's almost more of a mental test than a leg test. But essentially it's like max 1 second at the top for as many reps as you can go, at kind of around 50 to 60% of your 1 rep. And it's a fun test.
Sounds brutal.
Yeah.
It is. But it's 1 set and then you're done for the day. So
it's absolutely brutal. I think the 20 rep max squat test is up there with, it's kind of like, I would put it in like a similar category as like a repeat fours in terms of like that just sucks, where if you're really doing a ball busters repeat fours, probably comparable. It sucks. You're going to feel it. It's horrible. So, but props to you, man. 3 wheels for 20 is good shit. Good stuff, though, man.
Gross.
Gross.
I hate the worst part too is like when you're working up to that, you can't go too much. You don't have more than 1 set in you for a day. So like trying to warm up to that. Okay, so now you're at 225 and now you're at 275. How many reps are you going to do there? What if you get to 315 and you only hit 17 reps? Now you got to go back to 275 and try and hit 20 reps again. So it's like a fine line of how to hit that. But yeah, gross.
Do you guys take pre-workout?
I don't.
No, my pre-workout is coffee. It has been for quite some time. I mean, I'm usually a 1 cup guy, but heavy training days I'll do 2. But that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I just like the taste so much that I'd rather a coffee. Limiting to 2 coffees a day, like I hate that. So if for High Rocks it's at 7 p.m., I'll be like a 2 in the morning cups and then maybe 2 at 5 p.m. sort of thing, instead of a pre-workout.
But do you guys always caffeinate before a workout?
I don't, because I tend to work out at night.
Yeah.
So I'll be working out in like now. So it'll be too late for me to caffeinate. Because for the way I do function, anytime I try and get up at like 5 in the morning and work out for my kids, they get up too. They hear me in the gym or whatever. So I just find once everyone's asleep, then I know I'm not getting bothered, and I know I don't have a time limit of when I got to stop. That's what I always hate, was knowing I have to take him to daycare at 7:30, so I can only work out for 2 hours. Where I can just go to bed whenever or end whenever. So I do not caffeinate all the time, but if I'm working out at like noon, I will.
I'd say it's a rare exception that I don't caffeinate before any exercise. I love it. I'm like obviously addicted to it, but like I think it just makes it so much more fun. Like, you just feel better.
I've never PR'd not caffeinated.
Right. So that's
you can put it that way. And the funny, so anytime I've done a squat PR, it has been straight off of a flight that day. So my most recent, I flew from New Jersey at 9 a.m. or 10, got in, drove 2 hours home. And there's this idea like now, so obviously I'm in the PM. If I'm traveling that day, I'm in the afternoon lifting, and testosterone curves and strength curves peaks in the evening. Cardio tends to be more in the morning, but so let's say you peak at 4:30 p.m. or 5 p.m. for your strength curve through the day. I always PR at those times, but also I swear there's a function of being like seated for so long that day and having tight hips, tight quads, not stretching before, just doing a dynamic light like movement focused workout or warm up leads to the highest strength performance. Like do not stretch that muscle because we want that muscle tight. That's like I'm going to stretch my quad before I squat. Well, that's dumb.
Mm-hmm.
So do like a dynamic warm up of that movement, but don't do other things that are going to hinder a maximum capacity. So that's another funny thing I realized is I'm always caffeinated. It's always on a travel day, which is weird, which I always thought I would be the opposite, but
yeah, that's interesting.
it was like 3 times in a row. I'm like, oh my God, I don't fly that often. And for every flight to be on a day where I PR'd my lifts was like, that can't be a coincidence.
Might be onto something, man.
I've been getting into energy drinks recently, which I know maybe isn't that great, but I like it.
Which ones?
So Jocko Go, I like. And I like that if I don't need that much energy because it's only 95 milligrams of caffeine.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a nice little pick me up. And then I've been trying the First Form. And I just bought a ton of Black Rifle Energy.
Oh, I want to try those. We don't have those up here, I don't think. But I definitely like if I am flying home or like if I land in Detroit and have a 3-hour drive home and it's midnight, I crush. Like I purposely don't caffeinate later in the day, and then I crush an energy drink, a Celsius usually.
Yeah.
And maybe before High Rocks too, I might too. But those are like High Rocks. I struggle because heart rate control is basically how you do well in High Rocks. It's not going out too hot, controlling your heart rate. And I find if my caffeine's too high, it can spike more than normal. But yeah, we'll see. I do like a Celsius. The funny thing though is when I go to the States, like they're just the levels of caffeine.
Mm-hmm.
I think in Canada it's max 120.
Interesting.
But if you buy a Celsius in the States, it might be I don't remember what it was. It was at least 180 or 230 or something.
Yeah.
200, and there's a new version that's 270. It's like a beer.
Yeah. I bought one at a gas station. I'm like, Jesus, this is gonna hit me.
Yeah.
But
I still remember the first time I had a Bang energy drink, and it literally felt like I was on crack. Like it was the most amazing euphoric feeling I've ever had. Those ones had 300.
Jesus.
And it was just like, I think I was just sitting down to like do computer work or something. And I was like typing the best emails ever and stuff. At least I thought they were. And then you try to go get that feeling again. You can never get it.
You're chasing that high, man.
Right. That's right.
Gotta love the Bang.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely a performance enhancing supplement. I mean, it's proven for sure that
absolutely
strength training and fatigued exercise is way better on it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's become really big in ultras.
Yeah, they like Bang pills.
Yeah,
like they get out. I think I was watching the documentary of that. The Go One More, and there was a couple guys who were like doing 500 milligrams multiple times in the movie, and it was like over a couple of days. I'm like, geez.
That seems like a lot at once, but
Not at once. Like
No.
they were doing like 500 milligrams like each day for 2 days or whatever.
oh yeah. No,
I was
that's
that just
beautiful. I mean, during my 50K in February, I took it. I think I took 400 milligram gels. So I took 400 milligrams over 4.5 hours.
4.5 hours. Holy shit!
I was buzzing.
That's
Right,
crazy.
Ryan
That's
loves
like
it.
6 hours.
It's just like you just take
Oh,
one.
that's all in you.
I mean, look up David Roche Leadville 100 last year. He took like 1,200 to 1,400 milligrams over 15 hours. And that, I mean, that's
You're
extreme.
going like 100 milligrams an hour.
Yeah. But he did it again this year and actually beat his course record by like 14 minutes. I think he said he took like 500 or 600 this year, so substantially less. It's probably safer. But
Jeez.
yeah,
Gotta love caffeine. It makes the world go round. It's beautiful.
that's right.
Well, Jerry, we'll be sure to we'll send you a case of American energy drinks, so that way you can really have some crazy ass workouts and really PR your lifts with some little
Nice.
higher caffeine content and all of that. So
Heart will beat out of my chest.
I know, right? The dump. But hell yeah, guys. Love it. Love the discussion. I think we really touched on some good points about really just being strong all around and just trying to make sure that you're as best prepared as possible for whatever it is that you're doing. Just can't go wrong getting strong, and caffeine is awesome, as we have touched on here. So you guys got any closing send home points before we wrap this bad boy up?
I think you touched on a lot of good points, Jason. You really talked about training for life, and like thinking about when you're 70 or 80, and you want to be able to stand, like get up off the toilet or the couch, or like pick up your grandkids, or just doing stuff like that. I feel like it's important to start thinking about now, while we have the ability to, get that strength and hopefully keep it by being.
I think there's this idea that's scientifically backed that as you get older, past 40 or 50, your strength declines with age.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so and it's pretty like maybe 10% per decade or whatever it is, but that might be VO2 max. I can't remember, but
I think it's strength as well.
So get that as high as you can by 40 or 50 so that the drop off isn't as big of a deal.
Mm-hmm.
We've also shown, there's lots of studies to show too, at 60, 70 years old, if you're strength training, you actually can build strength and muscle mass, cross-sectional muscle, belly day. Like you can actually grow muscle and build muscle and strength past that age if you're training. So it's kind of a double thing of get as high as you can so that if life does get in the way or injury gets in the way or disease, sickness, whatever, you have enough that if you drop, you're good. But at the same time, don't stop there. Keep growing. And if you haven't started, it's never too late.
Oh, yeah.
So
stay strong for life is really the take-home point there, because it really is. It's, I guess my closing point would be, to maintain strength for life, because you never really know when it's going, because all of this is temporary, what anything in life is. And I know that's kind of a woo-woo kind of thing to wrap up with, but really, all of this is temporary in some way. We all are going to lose our strength at some point. And it's on us. I feel like it's a responsibility not only to ourselves, but to our, community, to our families, loved ones, all of that, to be as strong as possible. So that way we're able to be as resourceful and to help as best as we can. So I have I can say that staying strong for life is something that I preach to people damn near every day, and probably will for the rest of my life. So for everybody that checked this out tonight, thank you. And anybody that left some love as well on some comments, appreciate it. We'll be back at this. We will get that sent out with another topic for us to round up. And best of luck to Jerry this weekend. He's going to crush it there at the High Rocks. Ryan, you're always crushing it, man, with that coming off that race. I know you got some stuff on the horizon you're working towards. So, keep at it. And I'll just kind of keep putting along here and trying to keep lifting heavy stuff off the ground for as long as it'll let me. So, appreciate the talk, guys. It's always a fun to get with you guys and chat about this sort of thing. And I look forward to the next little extra mile show here. So thank you guys again.
Awesome. Thanks for tuning in. If anyone's still on here.
All right. Appreciate you all. Have a good evening. And we're looking forward to doing this again.
Love it.